Hi, Cineflix Compact here. Today, I'm going to explain a film called Safe, which is an American action thriller. Keep an eye out and be cautious. Mei is a little girl who lives in Nanjing, China. She is so gifted that she can solve calculations in her head. Additionally, she has an excellent memory, and it is hard for her to forget any number series she encounters. One day as Mei walks home in the company of her friends, a group of men kidnaps her. The men take her to Han, a mafia leader. The digital information affiliated with the mafia leader's criminal enterprise is traceable. He, therefore, wants to use Mei as a personal mental calculator to memorize his data. At first, Mei is hesitant to cooperate. However, when Hang threatens to murder her mother, she decides to cooperate. Mei is brought to New York and hidden as Chang's daughter, who is a gang member. Elsewhere in New Jersey, ex-cop and cage fighter Luke is in a fierce battle with his opponent. The fighting match is Luke's own setup, and he is supposed to lose. But, unfortunately, he punches his opponent into a coma. His victory angers Emil, the Russian mafia leader, who loses millions of dollars on Luke. To evade a gangster's anger, Luke decides to rush home only to find his pregnant wife murdered by Vasily, the mafia leader's son. The thugs then swear to murder anyone that Luke contacts. So he returns to his hometown. He becomes homeless in New York. 1 year down the line, Mei is still being used by the gang. Chang takes her to the streets of Chinatown every week. Mei memorizes the figures of every store she looks at. The store owners then pay a specific amount to the gang according to their revenue. One night as Luke lives in a shanty, he meets a shoeless man, whom he offers his pair of shoes. The following morning, however, he learns that someone hurt the man's throat and stole the shoes. Meanwhile, Mei learns of her mother's death. The following day, the gang leader arrives in New York for the first time ever since he sent her there. He has a piece of paper with a number series. Mei is forced to memorize the numbers, and Han later burns the paper. She is then taken to another location by Chang and asked to memorize the number series once they get to the destination. Shortly after, they are attacked by the Russian mafia, who are after Mei for all the numbers she has memorized. The China mafia eventually lose Mei to their Russian counterparts. Elsewhere, someone just stole Luke's breakfast money. He then meets a former colleague in the police force who takes him to an abandoned building where he and his colleagues beat him up for having exposed their cooperation with gangs. Mei is then taken to the Russian mafia leader, who interviews her about the numbers. She then realizes that the woman who brought the news of her mother's death was working for Emil. The lady encourages Mei to disclose to them the code, but she refuses, and the woman is shot dead. Immediately, a cop arrives to arrest the gang members on behalf of the Chinese mafia. Emil bribes him to double the Chinese mafia's bribe, and he accepts it. Mei has taken advantage of the situation and escaped unnoticed. The Russian and Chinese mafia start looking for her. However, by this time, she has reached the subway station, where Luke is nearly ending his life. He locks eyes with the shocked little girl and stops himself. He also notices his wife's killers looking for the girl. Mei jumps into the subway, but the gang members still follow her. Luke makes it his mission to save the girl. Luke kills every Russian on his way and meets Mei, who mistakes him for the criminals. He then realizes that the just-arrived cops are going to hand the girl to the mafia, and he knocks them out. Mei does not still trust Luke, but she gets into a car with him after the arrival of the Russian mafia. He kills the mafia, takes away their wallets and takes Mei to an expensive hotel. Somewhere else, the corrupt captain being used by the gangs learns that Luke has taken the little girl away. After arriving at the hotel, Mei builds trust with Luke and opens up about the numbers she memorized. He learns that they are a safe combination. Shortly, Chang traces Mei's location. When Luke gets into a fight with the gang members, they separate with Mei, who Chang captures. Luke then calls Vasily and deceives him into believing that he is one of them and has the safes delivered to him. The mayor then calls the corrupt captain and a colleague known as Alex and makes it known to them Luke's position that he is a CIA agent loaned to the police force after 9/11. Luke gets to the agreed location and meets the Russian mafia with the safes. He ambushes all of them and captures Vasily to threaten his father. He learns that the safe contains $30 million, and he can only save May by getting the cash from the Chinese mafia. He asks for help from the cops to help him get it from Chinatown. After getting to the lock, he kills the cops, apart from the captain, who he reserves alongside Vasily. He takes the money and heads to the mayor's office. Since he has the money, he calls Alex to ask what is in the second safe, and Alex reveals it. Alex wants to meet Luke to try and get the money, but Luke orders him to bring the little girl May. In the meantime, Luke breaks into the mayor's office and demands the contents of the second safe. So now Luke has the disk containing vital criminal data and the money. However, Alex and his henchmen have May. The two men eventually meet to exchange May for the money. Luke refuses to cooperate and suggests that they settle it with a fistfight. But May shoots Alex in the leg, making it for Luke to kill him. He then flees with the money, the disc, and May. He gives some cash to the captain, releases Vasily, and retains some copies of the disc. Luke later returns the rest of the cash to the Chinese mafia leader. May and Luke then drive to Seattle to restart life. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, hit the like button to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.